to a special edition of Uncommentary. I know the last time we met, we had said we'll come back for our preview to the semi-final and then the final. But the last two games that we've had, they deserve a special mention. And to have that special mention, I have a special person with me, my friend Sora.
Hey Dave, lovely, happy to be here, dude. Thanks for inviting me again. It's
Yes.
always fun to be on Uncommentary.
Absolutely. We also love you to be here on Uncommentary with us. Unfortunately, Narayanan is busy with work. With the time difference, Saurav and I here in Melbourne, we've already finished work, and Narayanan is still slogging. Hopefully, he should be free soon. If not, then I'll join him in another session. Two matches in the past 24 hours. We'll talk about the first one that was closer to a half. India versus Australia. The Indian fans were still reeling from the defeat of 19th November. They haven't been able to wipe that memory off their brains, and this was a redemption for them, for all the Indian team fans. And we were all served with delight by Rohit Sharma. What an incredible inning. Sora.
It was probably one of the better games of cricket that I've watched. Felt like if you actually look at the way we had been winning throughout the series, while we have been undefeated, whenever we've played against a weaker team, we've actually come out on top pretty strongly. But there's always that fear whenever we face Australia that something's going to go wrong, and it usually does. If you think about yesterday as well, we saw Kohli get a 5-ball duck. Now, that is a very rare sight. Not so rare in this World Cup, but it's a pretty rare sight to see Kohli falter. However, before last night's game, Rohit had around 90 odd runs in his 6 innings put together. And what a show he put on yesterday. Like it was just absolute carnage, if you ask me. This just like the second over from Mitchell Starc, where he just absolutely decimated him to the point where he scored the highest ever runs in a single over that have ever been scored against Starc in his career. Now, that's not just T20. That's all formats included. And then, like we were talking about just before we started the podcast, Dev, when he just sat down on one knee and slog swept Pat Cummins for 6. I'm like, who does that?
Brain fried moment.
Who does that?
When I saw that shot, I was messaging my friends and I'm like, oh my goodness, what kind of a shot is that? I mean, nowhere did it match that Kohli shot of Haris Rauf. No, but it was in its own league.
I personally think it's a bit unfair to compare those two shots, because if you think about it, Kohli's shot off of Haris Rauf was a perfect shot. He went on the back foot. It was technically correct. His elbow came through right. His shoulder was right. This one was just brute power. He just went absolute disdain for Pat Smith. It was almost as if like, you're the reason why I don't have a one-day World Cup, and I'm going to make sure that you lose today and get kicked out of this T20 World Cup. Enough's enough.
and the audacity of that shot and that innings in particular, mind you, Kohli was out on a duck.
Yeah.
I repeat, Kohli was out on a duck. And Rohit Sharma took the onus on himself. He's like, this is it. I'm going to go after the bowling attack. Else, we're not going to get that big score that we want. That will make sure that India wins.
If you actually look at Rohit's performance, not performance, but the way Rohit has played cricket in the last two and a half years, almost 2.5, yeah, almost 2.5 years. Especially even through the One-Day World Cup, you'll see that Rohit has basically just forsaken his wicket and just started to be aggressive from ball one. Like when him and Gill were opening in the One-Day World Cup, it was the same story. Like Rohit had this exact same game plan against the Aussies, even in the final that we don't usually talk about, the 19th of November one, where he'd gotten off to a flyer. He'd gotten off to a flyer, and that was his target. His target was to basically bat the Aussies out of the game. And if it hadn't have been for that, unimaginable catch by Travis Head in that game, the story could have been much different. Today, with Rohit batting the way he was and luck going his way, if you think about it, he had a couple of edges that went for 6 as well. So luck going the way it was, this is what we missed out on in the One-Day final, which we got to saw today. Like this was peak Rohit Sharma, peak hitman moment. Like I've seen Rohit score 200 plus, and that Rohit resembles today's Rohit that I saw. He tried to go a bit more technical and a bit more steady in the middle, but I think he's figured out that towards at the eve of his career, he's just gonna be like, I'm just gonna destroy every opposition that comes across. So it's fun to watch. I know we are going on about Rohit for a while, but I'd also like to mention that
he deserves all of that.
Yeah, I mean, we would also love to mention that Surya Kumar Yadav, Hardik Pandya, and to an extent even Shivam Dube, who has drawn a lot of flack this World Cup, from myself included. They all chipped in with some very valuable runs. Like if you look at everyone's strike rates, like Surya Kumar 31 of 16 with a strike rate of around 100 and almost 200. Shivam Dube with a strike rate of 130. Hardik with a strike rate of 150. This is how teams get to 200.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's next to impossible. So, all in all, classic batting performance by India. Like, nothing to complain about. If I had to nitpick, even the Kohli wicket, like Kohli realized he'd had 4 dots, and on the 5th ball, he gets a short ball, and rather than ducking or moving away, he pulls at it, and unfortunately hits it into the wind, which is why the ball doesn't carry out. Otherwise, Tim David never reaches that ball.
True. That's how brutal this game is, especially the T20. You have a few dots, and then the game slips away from you, and all of a sudden you were on the top the previous over. Now you were under pressure, and that pressure got the better of Kohli.
100%.
Moving 100%. On. Sorry, you go.
Yeah. Just one thing, like I know we spoke about our batting for a while. I'd also like to mention in a game where we scored 200, credit where credit's due, Josh Hazlewood bowled a spell of 4 overs, 1 for 14 with an economy of 3.5.
Yeah.
That man just puts the ball at the right spot.
Yeah, and in an innings where Stark has gone above 4 over 40, and Pat Cummins has gone over 40. Beautiful spell that, and what an economical bowling performance. And the counter attack, we always knew Travis Head was the danger man, and he didn't disappoint.
He does not.
Was on brand.
Yeah. Like I told you in WhatsApp this morning, that Travis Head is to India is what Glenn Maxwell's to Afghanistan.
Yeah.
they do not let these guys win. But Travis Head, once again, took his first few balls to get his eye in. Was very watchful of Bumrah initially, and let loose on everyone else. Which was a smart strategy, if you ask me. Like especially with David Warner falling in the first over itself. I think, it was the first over. Last ball of the first over was when David Warner fell. To a really good catch at slip by Surya Kumar Yadav. It was low. It was to his dominant side, but it was still a very low catch. It was a really good jump, a good dive, and a good take. So that was one heck of a wicket. But yeah, and then the Mitchell Marsh onslaught that came.
Mm.
When him and Travis Head were batting, I had my doubts. I was like, okay, this can get out of hand pretty quick, until Akshay basically pulls out the catch of the tournament.
Where did that come from?
I don't know. Maybe some sort of super glue on his hand or something.
He himself was in disbelief. Oh, how did that stick? Yeah,
Trust
but catches
I've dropped
do
enough
win
catches
catches.
to know how that would feel.
Yeah. That catch, and then the comeback by Kuldeep Yadav taking those crucial wickets at the right moment in the game brought India back.
That was perfect. Like, if you think about the way Kuldeep actually had that impact, like he got Mitchell Marsh out with that amazing stunner from Akshay Patel. But then the over before Kuldeep bowled, I think Jadeja had bowled, and Glenn Maxwell had basically spanked Jadeja for 17 runs in that over. And then Kuldeep comes on. Glenn Maxwell Head takes a single. I think Glenn Maxwell. I mean, actually, yeah, he did. Yeah, no, it wasn't. Kuldeep comes on. Maxwell's on strike. Maxwell dances down the wicket to throw Kuldeep out of the park over mid wicket. Kuldeep bowls a googly, falls in front of his pad, and then just leaves him, and just takes the middle and off peg, and like, it was perfect. It was poetry.
Yeah, it was, and that was a relief for the Indian fans. See the back of Maxwell and only Travis Head to go, but with wicket stumbling at the other end, there was little that he could do. Yes, he did come up with an odd boundary in between, but then come at the man, come at the hour, come at the man. Deceived Travis Head.
A slower full length delivery.
Yeah.
So he bowled two full pace deliveries at him. And he knew that, and Travis wasn't able to get him away as he'd like. So actually, yeah, he tried to, he couldn't get him away as he'd love to. So there was a single on the first ball to Head, and then the second ball was to Tim David. That was another single, and then Bumrah just bowls a nice full slower delivery. Head backs out to put it over extra cover, completely mistimes it, ball skies in the air, and Rohit Sharma's not going to drop that.
Yeah, he will not drop that.
But yeah, that was just, I think that was the death knell for the Aussies when Travis Head fell.
Yeah, that was the wicket that sealed the victory for India. And India in this group to reach into the semi-finals.
Yep.
And wait for one of the three who could qualify, which were the rest of the three in the group.
Yeah.
And yeah.
I mean, if you think about it, like, qualification scenarios apart, a big advantage if you think about India qualifying at the top of the table and playing England, who's second, is the fact that if you look at the weather in Guyana on Friday, there's showers expected. So because India qualifies at the top of the table, if the game gets washed out, India qualifies to the grand final.
That is one hell of a rule that will favor India this time around.
Last time we met them in a semi-final, it wasn't pretty.
Yeah. Going into the last leg of the Super 8s, where Afghanistan had a scenario to beat Bangladesh. Bangladesh had an outside chance if they could score big and beat Afghanistan. And there was another chance for the Australians where if Afghanistan lost and Bangladesh didn't score in the stipulated amount of overs, Australia, despite losing to India last night, would get in.
Yep.
So with so many permutations and combinations, there was already so much at stake before
Yes.
even the match had started.
Yeah,
And
and this is where I would say that we need to give credit to the batting that Pat Cummins did towards the end of our last game. And him and Stark, where they managed to get the Australians over 100 and over 176. Because if they had lost, if they scored less than 176, then the result of today's Afghanistan Bangladesh game wouldn't have mattered, because Afghanistan's net run rate, unless Bangladesh beat them by 60, 70 runs, would have still stayed ahead of Australia's, and it would have just been an automatic qualification for them. But like you said, coming into today's game, all scenarios were possible. Everything was possible. Afghanistan win, they qualify straight into the semi-finals. Bangladesh chased down their score in 12.1 overs or less. Bangladesh qualified to the semi-final. Bangladesh beat Afghanistan by 63 runs or more. Bangladesh qualified to the semi-final. Bangladesh beat Afghanistan by less than 63 runs, or by taking more than 12.2, 12.3 overs. Australia qualified to the semi-final. And what a game.
And with rain playing spoilsport so many times in the match, it had all the drama. Talk about Duckworth Lewis. Talk about low scores and defending them. Talk about one batter yelling at another batter because they did not take the second run. Remember, Khan pretty much threw his bat at Janat and wanted him to take that second run because he wanted to get back on the strike. And Bangladesh taking crucial wickets after that slow but steady start by Afghanistan in the first inning. After midway, it was all happening. And Jonathan Trott chipping in with his little football coaching moment. Remember, please.
Gulbuddin,
I want your
Gulbuddin,
thoughts.
Neymar, Ronaldo. He's winning an Oscar this time around.
Yeah, he should. He deserves. But people, if you haven't watched that moment, please watch the highlights on the ICC T20 World Cup website, and you'll see how funny it was. But sorry, please, I want your reactions, your comments, views, please.
Okay, I get it. This is a huge game. You're ahead of the Duckworth-Lewis total required by 2 runs. You've just had a wicket fall. It is starting to rain, and you know that the rain's getting heavy, so you're going to get called off. Your coach is screaming from the other end to delay. Now, as a competitive cricketer, everyone would do it. They'd find a way to delay. How do you delay? As a wicketkeeper, you run up to the bowler, you have a chat about what to bowl next. As a captain, you move the field around. As a captain, if you're on the long off boundary where Rashid Khan was, you run all the way up to the bowler and you have a chat with him around what to bowl next. Delay tactics. But no. What happens? Gulbuddin, standing at first slip, decides to scream, holding his hammy, and falls down. And the funniest thing, which was the reaction, came from Rashid Khan, who was screaming at Gulbuddin to get up because he's not happy about it.
He was not part of that scheme.
No. Clearly, they decided to leave the skipper out of it. But because then 25 minutes later, Gulbuddin comes in, bowls an over, and takes a wicket.
And no hamstring problem then.
I think it was Ian Smith who was the commentator who said, after this game, I want to go to the physio that Gulbuddin goes to because I've had a niggle in my knee for the last 8 years.
that was a fantastic comment. And Simon Dool say?
Paper hamstrings, but what is it?
Golden arm.
Golden arm. Yeah, paper hamstrings, but a golden arm.
Yeah, beautiful.
It was. And you know what? any other team Afghanistan does this to, I'd feel bad. But Bangladesh have had their moments.
Yeah, pretty
Yeah,
much.
it's kind of like quite deserving.
Especially
So
in today's match, I guess they had their chances.
yeah,
They could have easily completed that score in less than 12 runs. They could have chased it down, but they decided somehow. I felt they decided not to.
I agree. Like
Explain to me what was going on in Lytton Das's mind.
yeah, like
Why not?
there was a point in time, if you think about it, where there was like, I think like 10. No, it was like 9 point something overs, and they had like 40 odd runs to get. Or no, less than that. Yeah, 40 odd runs, or less than that
Yeah.
actually. 30 odd
And
something runs to get. And in that scenario, rather than just going after the ball hammer and tongs, they decided to nudge the ball around and take singles, which to me
exactly.
looked like a bit of a way to try and, rather than win it outright and go in themselves, they tried to kind of sabotage Afghanistan's
Yeah,
chance.
which is
But I don't think it was sabotage. Like if you've played enough cricket to know that
yeah,
when you're on the field, if you see a good ball come your way, no matter how much you want to hit it, you'll try and just like, at least let me get a single.
true.
Kind of
And not taking away any credit from the Afghani bowlers because they bowled tremendously well.
brilliant. Like each and every bowler delivered except Nabi. Nabi was a bit expensive, got taken a bit, to the point where if you think about it, Fazalak Farooqi had an expensive first over, but then came back well in his second over and took a wicket as well.
Yeah,
Naveen ul Haq was brilliant. He had a
yeah,
very expensive first over as well,
came
but
back
finished
well.
up with 4 for 26. And of course, the captain leading from the front with 4 for 23 of his four. Like, you can't ask for more than that. Like, Noor Ahmed was amazing, 4 overs, none for 13. Uh, Gulbadin, as usual, 2 overs, 1 for 5. Like,
Yeah,
this is it was all around a brilliant bowling effort if you think about it.
yeah, and I'm glad you mentioned Noor Ahmed because in that tiny little zone where there were so many rain delays, and Rashid Khan was bowling superb spell on the other end. You needed to contain the batters from this end. So Noor Ahmed with his left arm slow balls
Mhm.
kept on bowling a tight line and didn't allow Bangladeshi batters to get away.
No,
So I think that little bowling spell where him and Rashid Khan were bowling in tandem was that took the game away from Bangladesh.
definitely. Uh, that kind of brings us to our four semi-finalists: India, England, South Africa, and Afghanistan. Uh, Afghanistan might look like the dark horse here, the team that has
I wouldn't take them
been a lot of
lightly
people, and I've been
if
a
I
bit
was South Africa.
disappointed. Yeah, I've been a bit disappointed by a lot of people when they've said that Afghanistan has been lucky.
Oh,
I'm like, if you think about it, they've beaten New Zealand, that's ranked sixth, and they've beaten Australia, that is the second ranked T20 team in the world. I'm discounting Bangladesh because Bangladesh is just like one rank above them, but there's a difference of around like 7 points between the two of them. It's like barely anything. So
and in the past,
Bangladesh,
they've beaten Pakistan and they've beaten England
they've beat
um,
these
and
guys. These guys,
West
these
Indies.
guys know what they're doing.
Yeah,
This team deserves to be here. Like, especially the last two games that they've played, the game against Australia and the game against Bangladesh. Afghanistan deserves to be here more than I'd say any other team that has made the semi-finals. Like an absolute brilliant setup for Thursday, our time, 10:30 a.m., where South Africa take on Afghanistan. What's your take?
oh, it's going to be difficult. Um, as much as I want, and I'll be backing Afghanistan in this game, I think for South Africa, it's been a long time coming, been due for a long time for them. Unless the famous combination of South Africa and Reigns, where they have their own love affair again. And
This time
Afghanistan,
around, it's a lot better. First of all, Trinidad and Tobago, the Brian Lara Cricket Academy, where the game's supposed to be held. Luckily, there's no rain expected there
good.
on the day of the game.
Sure.
So we will get a game. But even if there was, South Africa finished top of the table.
So they'll go through.
So they'll qualify regardless of that. What I've wanted to see, however, like South Africa has been brilliant throughout this World Cup. They've not given many teams too many chances. Windies got close, but the Rabada prevailed.
Yeah.
If you think about it. But what I really want to see is how the pitch is served up at Trinidad and Tobago, because if it's a flat batting track with little to no turn, Afghanistan are going to be out of the tournament even before the game begins. But if it's a pitch like the one that was served up yesterday for the Australia game, or the Australia game, or today for the Afghanistan-Bangladesh game, where there's something in it for the bowlers, it's a good batting track, but there's still something in it for the bowlers, to make a good contest of bat and ball. I would love to see hard-hitting South African batsmen try to take on the likes of Noor Ahmed, Rashid Khan, Fazal Faruqi, and to an extent Mohammad Nabi. The spin wizards that come out, because if you think about it, Naveen ul-Haq, Gulbadin, Fazal Faruqi, they all have good T20 experience from the IPL. And which is why you can't take them lightly anymore, even as pace bowlers. But then you have the spin greats of Nabi, Rashid, and Noor, and these guys play T20 leagues 12 months of the year. The only time they're not playing a T20 is when they're playing a T20 for their country. That's literally all they play. So I don't think it's going to be as easy a game for South Africa as a lot of people might think. But caveat being that there is something in the pitch for the bowlers as well.
Yeah. Mind you, we saw today how the bowlers won the game for Afghanistan. It was the likes of Rashid Khan and Naveen ul-Haq, the player of the match, who won it for Afghanistan. So it won't be easy for South Africa.
A big scare, however, or a big problem point that I actually see in this for Afghanistan is, apart from their opening pair, no other batsman is fired.
Yeah, that's about it. Except for a couple of cameos from Rashid Khan.
Rashid Khan, that's about it, right? But Rashid Khan's job is that. His job is to come in and have a cameo. He's not supposed to be there. Like, it's your 1, 2, 3, and 4 that are supposed to be scoring the bulk of your runs. To an extent, 5 as well. Rashid Khan at 6 is supposed to be a pinch hitter. He's a Tim David. His job is to come in, Hardik Pandya, his job is to come in, play 15 balls, score 30, 40 runs, and, take the team from that 140 to the 180 mark. But the 140 runs need to come from the top 4 or 5. That is where 3, 4, and 5 have been big failures for Afghanistan. And if you think about it, the openers for Afghanistan have put on 300-run plus stands. Now they're going to come across the bowling attack, the likes of Rabada, Ngidi, Kotsi, Andre Berger, oh my God, Amrik Nokia, all of them. Like, it's not going to be easy.
No,
Keshav Maharaj comes in.
Shamsi and Maharaj with the spin attacks. So they will be tested.
Yes, it's a tough game.
Yeah, it will be. Toss will be important though.
Yep, very much so. It depends on the deck, however, tosses are usually, in a T20 game, they're usually important, and a knockout game more so. Like, if it was up to the English, they'd always say runs on the board, but we've seen that's not always the case.
Not always the case. And that brings us to the next semi-final game between India and England. Now, the last time these two teams met was in 2022 World Cup here in Australia, in Adelaide. And we know what happened then. 10 wicket.
I have really bad memories because I drove overnight to get to Adelaide to watch that game live, and then I drove overnight after India had lost the game back into work the next morning. And while driving back, I hit a ditch and I had 2 busted tires.
Oh,
So it was not only an emotionally draining trip, it was a financially draining one too.
Yeah, emotional, financial, physical,
Everything.
So you need to get over it with a sweet win this time. If
100%.
India can produce that, who will be your?
I have expectations from India this game, predominantly because
your top players to watch out for.
Okay, let's see. Who do I watch out for? Let's see the squads. All right, when it comes to England, if you look at England's performances throughout the series, whenever Butler and Salt have fired, England have won.
Yeah,
but
true.
Number 3 onwards, you don't see many runs. This is very much in stark contrast to India, where Rohit and Kohli haven't really fired as much as we would like them to. Rohit fired in the last game. Virat had a nice 37 the game before. That's about it. But if you think about it, all of India's scores have come from their middle order. So India's middle order is firing. Like Surya scoring, Hardik scoring, Akshar scoring runs as well. Rishabh's been on a roll. So it's a well-balanced batting unit that bats deep all the way. Like if you think about it,
about till Bumrah.
Yes and no. I mean, we can consider Bumrah bad. He does. But if you think about it, apart from 9, 10, and 11, so Kuldeep, Bumrah, and Arshdeep, all the way until number 8, we have people that can be classified as genuine batsmen. Like Jadeja is a good enough bat to be picked in this team as a pure bat. Akshar's good enough for that as well. Like, so India has a much more stable batting unit, which has actually fired pretty well. However, England's bowling hasn't really fired as much as we would like them to. If you think, when you have the likes of Wood and Jofra, you're not supposed to be having trouble with the ball. But they have consistently given scores of over 180, 160. They have chased them down, thanks to the brilliance of Josh Butler and Phil Salt. But yeah, I think from a balance perspective, I'd say India is a more balanced side than England right now. Definitely has the edge. Yeah, Google agrees with me. 59% India, 41% England.
Yeah, that is a good percentage to start the game with. Now, considering how Virat has struggled in this particular World Cup against the quicker bowlers, and Rohit Sharma, on the other hand, has bludgeoned the quicker bowlers. It'll be a tough task for England to choose their bowlers. They do have Jofra Archer and Mark Wood and Topley and Sam Curran, the left-arm all-rounder. Who do they pick? Do they go heavy on speed or stick to their combination of speed and spin with the likes of Moeen Ali or Rashid, other Rashid? Tough call.
But if you ask me, I wouldn't if you look at the bowlers that England have used, England have always gone with Reece Topley, Moeen Ali, Jofra Archer, Sam Curran, Adil Rashid, and Mark Wood. And I don't see these 6 bowlers changing. Adil Rashid has enjoyed some level of success to the point where he's actually been pretty economical. He's gotten his wickets, and he's also enjoyed a level of success against India. Reece Topley has had one great game against India, but then apart from that, he's usually been nothing to be scared of kind of a bowler. But a left armer always has a left arm fast bowler has troubled the Indian top order if you think about it. However,
and that to 6'7".
Yep.
Tall left arm.
Yep. apart from like Stark today was harmless, but otherwise he was quite toothless. Not as a bowler, he's a brilliant bowler. No, not discounting that. It was just the form Rohit was in, like the way he was connecting. It was just impossible. Like you could have put anyone in front of him, and like they would have been decimated today. But yeah, Reece Topley is definitely more of a threat to our top order than say someone like a Jofra Archer or a Mark Wood. Key here is Jofra Archer, if you ask me, mainly because our team hasn't faced him in a very long time. We faced Mark Wood enough. We faced Reece Topley enough. We faced Reece Topley in the world one days as well. We faced him in England. Surya even got 100 against him. Moeen Ali, we faced Sam Curran. We faced Adil Rashid. We faced Mark Wood. We faced Mark Wood in the Test series. Everything. We've faced everyone else except Jofra Archer because he's just been injured. And that man can make things happen.
True.
I don't know. From a bowling perspective, Reece Topley and Jofra Archer are the ones to watch out for. The others, not so much. I don't really see them causing much havoc. But yeah. And like I said, batting-wise, Buttler and Phil Salt. Apart from that, again, don't really see much trouble from them, as they say. From the Indian perspective, you got to watch out for everyone.
I like the way you don't mince your words. And
you got to watch out for everyone because if you look at our batting lineup, everyone's kind of fired. Like Kohli is a big match player. If he fires against England, England is out before they even hold the bat in hand. Or if we're batting second, they're gone.
Yeah.
No score is too big when Kohli fires because we have, like, if you think about it, the world's best T20 batter bats at number 4 for us.
Yeah, true. I agree. That's and you've got Virat Kohli.
And you've got Kohli and Rohit at 1 and 2.
Who's due big time now. And alongside he's playing alongside Rohit Sharma, who's already in sublime form. At pretty much the golden form of his life.
And he's got nothing to lose. He knows this is probably his last T20 World Cup. And then you've got Rishabh Pant who walks in at 3. He's got a lot of things. He's got something to prove after his accident and coming back. And he wanted to be a part of this World Cup squad, and he's made it happen. He's not going to let it go that easy. Hardik, after the whole Mumbai Indians debacle with the abuse he's gotten,
really good this World Cup.
It helps. Like if you think about it, his mindset's very different. He doesn't have to lead the team anymore. He's having fun. He's been given a free hand to bat the way he wants to. He's been given a free hand to bowl the way he wants to. Rohit's managing him well. And then you have our bowlers. With our bowlers, Arshdeep has turned into a surprisingly good bowler. A left armer, that's always a threat. Then you have, then you get the spin of Kuldeep. He's been like, we didn't play him in the initial league stages, but when we brought him out, he's literally like, I'm not going to let go of my spot in this team.
No.
Then you get Akshar, Akshar and Jadeja, who are very darty left arm offies. They're hard to get away. Like you can get runs off of them, but you can't really get a lot of runs off of them unless you try something unconventional.
Like
and they
Maxwell
both
did in the
like
last,
Maxwell, but not everyone's a Maxwell.
And not everyone's Maxwell. Pretty much not just Butler nor Phil Salt.
And then you have the best all-format bowler in the world right now, which is Jasprit Bumrah.
Yeah.
Like, I'm happy to have a debate with anyone in this world right now that Jasprit Bumrah is not the best all-format bowler in the world. He's by far the best bowler that the world currently sees. And just look, like, before the game against Australia, there was a point where Jasprit Bumrah in the T20 World Cup had twice the number of wickets than the boundaries he'd conceded. That is an absolute joke.
That is one hell of a stat.
So if you think about that,
that's in a T20 game format.
In the T20 format, like if I'm not wrong, if I go ICC T20 World Cup, I'm pretty sure Bumrah's still bowling with an economy of like less than
7.
5.
I was being just to be conservative and say
Yeah.
7.
That's what I mean. It's just that sort of a thing. Like, I really don't think, and I'm pretty sure if we lose, it's gonna be, I'm gonna get a lot of shit for this, but I really don't think this English team has what it takes to beat this Indian team.
Well, I would like to feel that and think that as well. And I hope we get really good cricket, and like we've always been India centric and backing the Indian team as Indian fans.
Mm-hmm.
Last couple of lines before we wrap it up.
Mm-hmm. Really looking forward to an India-Afghanistan grand final.
That'll be one surprise combo nobody could have expected.
100%. But I personally think we're heading towards an India-South Africa final, or as I like to call it, the Battle of the Chokers.
On that note, thank you for joining us, and thank you, Saurabh, for joining me at a very last moment. I really appreciate you saying yes to this pod, and we'll see you soon in another session with Narayanan and a couple of surprise sessions that we might come up before the final.
Mm-hmm.
Saurabh and I, we were discussing if India makes it to the final, then we'll come up with this surprise session. We'll talk about a lot of things. We'll talk about both the finalists, their journey, how they've been in this T20 World Cup. Very to look forward to. We hope you get some exciting cricket. Have a good night. Thanks for your time, and we'll see you soon. Bye-bye.